This is the White Coat Investor Podcast, Milestones to Millionaire, celebrating stories of success along the journey to financial freedom. Here is your host, Dr. Jim Dolly.
This is Milestones to Millionaire, podcast number 54. WCI Ambassador reaches millionaire status. CrowdStreet, the largest online real estate investing platform, gives investors like you access to institutional quality opportunities across the country. Today, thousands of investors are building their personal portfolios online with CrowdStreet, from multifamily and industrial warehousing to self-storage and senior living. When you create your account for free, you'll join an active community of investors who've discovered how easy it can be to invest in real estate. With CrowdStreet, feel like an insider and benefit from institutional quality deals. Let's help diversify your portfolio. Learn more at whitecoatinvestor.com/CrowdStreet. All right, we're doing a very special episode of the Milestones podcast today. I am here in the WCI studio with Disha Spath, who is a WCI ambassador. What is a WCI ambassador? It is a podcast co-host, a columnist, a host at WCI Con 22, and somebody that's going to be representing the White Coat Investor across the country. So it's exciting to have you here. You're on the receiving end today, though. This is your milestone that we're celebrating. Although in future episodes, you'll be able to hear Disha talking to people who have accomplished their own milestones. So let's let people get to know you a little bit. Tell us about your specialty and how far you are out of training.
Thanks so much for having me here. It's a real treat. I am an internal medicine physician. I practice as mostly an outpatient primary care doctor and an inpatient hospitalist once in a while. I work in upstate New York, and I am about 10 years out of medical school and 7 years out of residency. So really 7 years out of full training.
Awesome. Well, welcome to the team, first of all.
Thank
Second,
you.
welcome to the podcast, and congratulations on your milestone. We're going to use your milestone to inspire other people to do the same. So tell us what milestone we're celebrating today.
Oh, boy. Really great timing that you asked me to do this podcast. We reached millionaire status just a couple of months ago, actually.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. Millionaire. How's it feel?
It's hard to believe.
Do you feel like that guy on the Monopoly box?
Yeah, no.
Not exactly the same. You know, it's interesting about Monopoly. When that came out, a millionaire was about the equivalent of a decamillionaire today.
Right, exactly.
And it was at a time when there weren't that many wealthy people. And so it was a big deal. Now, unfortunately, most docs probably need to be millionaires to have a comfortable retirement.
Yeah, right. And it feels like, really a great achievement. But yeah, we're just in the beginning. We're just starting. And it's so cool because we would not have gotten here had it not been for the White Coat Investor. So it's just all kind of comes together in a really perfect way.
Awesome. All right. So let's talk about what your net worth's divided up into. You're worth $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
Okay, so we have a lot in real estate. We got lucky with the real estate market. We bought early. So $597 of equity in real estate. We have $100,000 in cash or cash equivalent. Investments, we have $343,000. Roth IRAs are 68, 401ks 207, HSA is about 25. Our brokerage is only 13 because we recently started that. So yeah, that all adds up to $1 million, if you can believe that.
Wow, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations. So you said home equity. Now, is that all in your primary residence, or is there some investment property?
Yeah, we have 2 investment properties. Most of it's our investment properties. So about 300's in our primary.
Okay. So, you're 7 years out.
Yeah.
Is your husband working as well, or are you sole earner in your family?
My husband is working now. I was sole earner for the first 2 years of my career, and then he went back. He was in getting his master's at that time when he wasn't working.
Okay. So range of income throughout your career. What's the best year and the worst year?
So for me, I've been right around 200,000 for the last 7 years.
Okay.
Yeah, 200 to 230. My husband earns about 85, 90 to 100.
Okay. All right. And so it took you 7 years out of residency if you just became a millionaire. So I guess we know that answer to that question. What was your secret to success? Now, I kind of know your story, but I
Yeah.
want them to hear your story because there was an abrupt turn at a certain point in your story, and I think they'd find that interesting.
Yeah. So I really consider our journey more like a 5-year journey right now because for the first 2 years I was floundering. Or we were just, we did the usual thing where everyone tells you to just finance everything out. And that's what we did. We made a lot of just mistakes of lifestyle inflation. We bought a nice house and our first job without knowing the group. We bought it before we moved. And then ended up selling that house just 2 years later. So what happened was my second pregnancy was unpaid. My maternity leave was unpaid. So that was my coming moment of clarity because I was sitting and sewing the cover to a couch instead of spending time with my newborn baby. I was spending the entire maternity leave doing this cover from scratch that I really could have just bought and been so much happier, but didn't want to because we were strapped for cash and I felt like we just had gotten it all wrong. Like I was making a double six-figure salary. Other people have done this where they, have babies. Like, why was I getting this wrong? And that's when while I was sewing that cover, was listening to the WCI book on Audible, and learning just exactly everything that I'd done wrong and what I needed to do to make it better.
So you made this abrupt right turn,
Yeah.
and it was pretty drastic what you did. Tell them what you did. I mean, you realized you were doing stuff wrong, and then you.
Yeah, and then okay, so my husband and this is a team effort of complete insanity. We got at our debt. We both sat down and listed our debts out and realized we had, 2 car payments, we had the mortgage, we had the rental property mortgage, and thankfully no credit card debt, but a whole bunch of student loan debt. And that really was the biggest life suck that was limiting my choices was this $2,000 to $3,000 bill every month on top of everything else. So what we decided to do was do the good old fashioned snowball method where we went for the smallest debt first. We modified it a bit. We didn't. We went for the 2 cars and then we skipped the rental property because it was cash flowing and we decided to carry that debt, and went at the student loans after that. So we paid off 2 cars and $238,000 of student loans in about 3 years. And the student loans were in 17 months once we had the cars paid off. So all in all, but in order to get that done, we had to make that the room for the cash, right? Because we were cash strapped.
This is the part of the story I really like. Listen to this part.
So we said, okay, you know what? I wasn't in love with my job, so I wanted to change anyway. Josh wanted to move back home. We were in Savannah, and he's from New York, where he wanted to get back to skiing and snowboarding. So we said, okay, let's move back up to upstate New York, or let's move up to upstate New York. And instead of buying like a doctor home, we're going to go back to a resident home. And we decided to just deflate our lifestyle hardcore and cut many of our expenses. And we just, every single line item, we just started cutting. We dropped the cable, we dropped our grocery bill, really optimized how much we were spending on alcohol, and that kind of thing. And just every single line item started cut. And all of a sudden, we just started making progress, like humongous amounts of progress. And it was an amazing experience that taught us a lot about how to manage money, and how easy it is to get, on the wrong side of cash flow.
She frugaled down, sold her house, moved to another state, right? And cut every line item in her budget. So yeah, congratulations. That's pretty awesome story, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the very beginning. When you came out of training, what was your net worth?
Negative $250 to $275,000. Yeah, really.
So this
broke.
swing in 7 years is not just $1 million. It's almost $1.3 million.
Right.
So very impressive. And so I'm assuming you didn't get much help from parents as far as paying for school.
No. My mom was a single mom for most of my life. And and I basically put myself through college. They helped a little bit, but I had 3 scholarships and 3 jobs. And
Okay,
so we waited lots of tables.
So no big inheritance here.
No.
You guys got to $1 million on your own. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's talk about debt.
Yeah.
How much debt do you have right now?
Right now we have $872,000 in real estate debt.
Okay.
Yep.
Between rental properties and your home mortgage?
Yep.
Okay.
But we have $1.5 million in assets.
Okay.
So in real estate, so it makes up for it.
Okay. So what advice do you have for those who are a decade or two behind you? Or maybe let's just go back 5 years. Let's say 5 years behind you. Someone's sitting there. They're in the situation you were in.
Mm-hmm.
They maybe they're on maternity leave, and for whatever reason, they're realizing this path I'm on is not going where I want to go.
Mm-hmm.
What advice do you have for them?
Well, the good news is that we have a really big salary as compared to most people. And so it's very easy to turn things around if you decide to. The hard part is deciding to and changing stuff. But once you get at it and you get rolling, it's really, really seamless and it goes way faster than you planned. So what I would do is start, first of all, by talking to the entire family about the situation and making sure everyone is on board. And then one step at a time. Just list your debts and then get at them. Figure out a plan. Choose one to pay off first, and then the second and the third, and then get at it.
So you mentioned your mom was single.
Mm-hmm.
What from your upbringing affected how you managed money? Did you bring any mindsets from your upbringing, or any habits, or any teachings that maybe you got that have affected your financial life?
Yeah. So I had 2 very influential women in my life, my grandmother and my mother. My grandmother was the head of basically the financial head of household in India of my extended family. And she would sit me down as like a 10-year-old and tell me all the stories of all the money where everything is and all the interest and who we owe what to and how we're paying that back. And she was just completely transparent and really kept it all in her head and kept a track of every single penny. And then also my mom, on the other hand, was really frugal. She, when we were growing up, when I was growing up, she only earned like $29,000-$30,000 a year. And so we were very good at getting the most out of every penny. So I got that from her. But she wasn't good about keeping track of everything or investing and that kind of stuff. So she
probably didn't spend a lot of time teaching you about asset allocation, I'm guessing.
No. But I did learn how to pay bills very early.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay, so you're a parent now. This whole time you've been becoming a millionaire the last 5 years. You've had 2 small kids.
Yes.
So how did you balance that?
So part of our geographic arbitrage, which may not seem like it because we went from Georgia, low tax state, to high tax state, was going to grandparents. And so we kind of minimized childcare costs by moving closer to grandparents that could help us. So that was one. The other was honestly getting them involved in the debt payoff journey was so good for all of us, especially like having them. We made a macaroni jar of my student loans. So at one macaroni was $1,000 in student loans, and every time we paid a payment every month, we would take it out as a family, and the kids would learn. It was dry, but we did make some good mac and cheese at the end of it. But yeah, they would, that's how they learned to count, is taking out those macaronis. And it was just such a great process. And once we all paid it all off and then bought a bigger house, they reaped the benefits of that. So
awesome.
Really cool.
Well, congratulations. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast with your own story, number one. It's very inspiring, and I'm sure others will find it inspiring, especially those who maybe are a couple years out of training, realizing that maybe they're not quite doing it right. But mostly, thanks for coming on and helping us run the WCI podcast.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be on, and what an immense honor.
All right. So, whatever you may be looking to accomplish in your life, diversifying your investment portfolio could be essential to unlocking that next endeavor. With CrowdStreet, the nation's largest online real estate investment platform, investors like you have direct access to private equity real estate, with the flexibility to invest in what matters to you, where it matters to you. Learn more at whitecoatinvestor.com/CrowdStreet.
My dad, your host, Dr. Dolly, is a practicing emergency physician, blogger, author, and podcaster. He is not a licensed accountant, attorney, or financial advisor, so this podcast is for your entertainment and information only and should not be considered official, personalized financial advice.